What is going on, guys? I hope you're having an amazing day. Today we're going to be looking at Vivek Ramaswamy once again. Today he's going against Don Lemon apparently. I don't know what happened in this, but apparently it didn't go good for Don Lemon. Now, we have been on a Vivek Ramaswamy marathon on this channel. If you guys want to watch the other videos that I made on Vivek, I think they're pretty good. You might enjoy them. But before we get into this video, make sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps because, as you guys know, YouTube, I'm not going to say likes to censor, but they like to not push certain different topics and stuff like that. So, but without further ado, let's get right into this video.
Joining us now, a frequent guest on Fox News, Republican presidential candidate and tech entrepreneur, Vivek Ramaswamy. So we are happy to have you on. I'm going to talk to you more than just about Fox News, but good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
What do you make of this decision to settle this case?
I mean, it strikes me as a cost of doing business. If you're going to be a news network, I think it's happened to CNN. I think it's happened to a lot of news networks.
That has not
it's a cost of doing business.
It's not happened to CNN. This is
never been sued for defamation. Never been actually settled.
This is the largest
it's definitely
in
large,
history.
and Fox appears to have the largest viewership and the market capitalization. So I'm not familiar with the details of this case. I'm actually more interested in issues relating to this country than disputes with media companies. But I will say that it strikes me that from
But you're
CNN
not familiar,
to Fox News.
You're not familiar with the case. You're not familiar with the lies about the 2020 election, about the election being stolen, that Dominion was somehow, fixing the votes. I mean, that's why they $787.5 million. You're not familiar with that? And you're running for president?
The details of a private dispute between a commercial dispute and the details of what the dollar figures are, that's not where I spend. That's really not where I spend my time. But what I will say is, look, there's defamation cases. People settle businesses. If you settle business disputes, Fox settled this one. It's actually not, I think, the pressing issue for the nation of what Fox News' settlement is.
I disagree.
Wait, hold on, wait. Why would Vivek care about this? Think about it, guys. Why would he care about this? Both CNN and Fox are trash. From what I know about Vivek, he's very anti-establishment, at least from what he purports and what he says. So if that's the case, why would he care about Fox or CNN when we both know everybody watching this right now, right? Everybody watching this knows that it's like Fox and CNN are both a part of the media apparatus, right? We both know this. And we all, I think, unanimously agree. If you're on the left or the right, know that the media apparatus right now is basically in shambles and is not to be trusted. So Fox and CNN are both wrong.
Because as you just admitted, you said Fox is the largest viewership, one of the largest viewerships among television networks, and especially cable networks, considering the eyes, the American people who are tuning in to Fox News to get their information and to get it accurately. Okay. I'm surprised that you would say that you're not concerned about this, and this is not something that is hugely pressing for the American people.
Here's the way I look at it.
Freedom of the press is the First Amendment in the Constitution.
Oh, exactly. You nailed it. The freedom of the press. So we have CNN, we have Fox. I'm here with you guys. I go on Fox News. I think that's great that we have a marketplace of ideas in this country. What I worry more about, Don, is the trend that we see in this country to controlling what different parties are actually able to say.
You're not answering the question. You're giving us platitudes about...
I'm actually unsure what your question is, Don. Do you want somebody to bash Fox News on CNN?
No, I'm not asking you to bash Fox. I'm not asking you to bash Fox News. I'm asking you to be honest about what happened on Fox News, about the lies that were told and them having to admit the lies and paying the largest defamation settlement to a media company in history, and you are a frequent guest on that network. Are you concerned about the credibility? Are you going to continue to go on that network even with those credibility issues?
I have far more concerns with the credibility of what we will call the mainstream media than I do with the credibility of Fox News. But
Fox is the mainstream media.
At the end of the day, what I say is, look, neither you nor I know the details because they settled it before it went to trial. I think the obsession over this is a little weird.
Vivek, listen,
it's a little
I want to get into
There's real issues to talk about in the country. Why are we talking about Fox News and the settlement?
This is a very big and important story. And I'm not going to, we have much more that we want to talk
I think we should.
About, but we will get there when we're ready to get there. We have you on to talk about these issues. This is a very important issue, and it should not be downplayed. This has to do with American democracy and Americans learning the truth about what happened in the 2020 election.
You want to know what?
You don't think that's important?
I hear a lot about
comparing it to CNN is not this apples and oranges. It's not the same thing.
What?
Well, it's, different networks. Yes,
really?
Apples aren't the same as oranges. You get one view through CNN, you get a different view through Fox News. I think that's good in our marketplace of ideas is that we have media that offers diverse perspectives. And you want to talk about threats to our democracy?
This is genuinely just stupid to me. They really have Vivek Ramaswamy on talking about Fox News settlement. Really? You guys have him on talking about debates between networks and which network says the most wrong information, like when both are pretty much just scams, if I'm being honest with you guys. This is just hilarious. I don't know. To me, this is just hysterical, right? If you guys are watching this, what do you guys think?
One of the threats, and that phrase is an interesting one, threats to our democracy. I think one of the biggest ones is the chilling effect on speech in our country more broadly, where if somebody says something that a broad segment of the population or certain people in the government disagree with, there's an increasing trend in our country to silence that. And the answer to bad speech and alleged misinformation is not less speech. It is more speech in the marketplace of ideas. That's actually what a free press really means.
All right, we're going to move on. But your answer was good, but it's not about what's actually happening. It's not relevant to what's happening. I think the answer to what happened at Fox News is to tell the truth. Media companies are tasked with telling the truth. That did not happen in this situation, and that's why we're asking you these questions. But let's move on.
Let's talk more about a diverse exchange of ideas. That's what I'm in for. Thank you.
Glad you're here this morning. Your campaign slogan is a new American dream, and I was reading through your platform last night. I wonder what you would do specifically to actually bring us together, not just Republicans and Democrats. What does unity look like to you, Vivek, for rich and poor, for rural and urban, for Republicans and Democrats?
That is the right question to be asking. And I think the main divide in this country, and I say this to conservative audiences equally, is not between Republicans and Democrats. It is between those of us who are pro-American, embracing the ideals that set this country into motion, and I think an increasing strain in this country that is anti-American, that wishes to apologize for a nation founded on those ideals. But that's not a 50-50 split. I think most people are in the pro-American camp. And Poppy, I think one of the ways they would say we get to national unity, some people think, is by showing up in the middle and compromising. I respect that view, but I reject it.
You reject compromise?
I reject compromising on our principles. I think the right way to get to national unity, and I mean this, to unite this country, is by embracing actually the radicalism of the American ideals themselves. We celebrate our diversity and differences. I'm glad we have some 3 different shades of melanin on this set right now, 2 different genders. That's fine, but what I say is, so what? That diversity is meaningless unless there's something greater that binds us together, that unites us across that diversity. And I'm running for president to revive those ideals that bind us together across our diverse attributes.
I want to get into a few issues, one of them being China. Before I get to China, I just want to better understand something you said this week speaking before the audience at the NRA. Here's what you said, referring to back to 1865. Here it was.
I want you to raise your hand if you know when the first anti-gun laws were passed in this country. Raise your hand if you do. 1865. You want to know when it happened? We fought a civil war in this country to give black Americans the equal protection under the law that we failed to secure them in 1776. But then you want to know what happened? Southern states passed anti-gun laws that stopped black people from owning guns. The Democrat Party, then as in now, wanted to put them back in chains.
Then as in now, that's quite an accusation about the current Democratic Party. Who and what were you referring to?
I was referring to Joe Biden and his expression of wanting to put them back in chains, dating back to Lyndon Johnson.
He did say that.
I think Lyndon Johnson's so-called Great Society was one of the greatest misnomers in American political history, where even back then in the 1960s, 70% plus of black kids were born into 2-parent homes. Today, that number is less than 30% in the opposite direction. The very policies that we implemented in this country in the name of helping black Americans have actually been disastrous for black Americans and all Americans. And I think that that's something that we need to wake up to.
In 1865, you were talking about the black codes, right?
That's right.
Passed, enacted to make it a crime for a black person to carry a gun in the South. But you're equating that to the current president? You're referring to economic chains? What are you saying?
Well, I was referring to Joe Biden's, I think, ill-chosen expression to say they're the party that wants to put you back into chains.
Yeah, that's pretty
what
weird.
I'm actually saying is that if you look at the policies of the modern Democratic Party.
Democrats.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that actually it's policies like that of Lyndon Johnson and Joe Biden that are actually holding black Americans back.
The war on poverty?
Yes, and in particular, his Great Society, where he actually created incentives in the family, where if you're a family, you could actually get more money by not having the father in the home. Guess what you get? You get what you pay for. And I think it's been really bad for the black community. I think it's really bad for all Americans.
Do you have anything on this before I move on to China?
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has to do with the other, especially consider and using the Civil War to talk about black Americans. That war was not fought for black people to have guns. That's not
That war was fought for black people to have freedoms in this country. Yeah. Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
And the sad part about it,
fought for black people to have guns. I think.
Actually, you know, funny fact is.
Wait, come on, that's very stupid to me. Come on, Don, you have to do a bit better than that, Mr. Lemon, Mr. What did that one guy call him, Mr. Lemonhead? Come on, guys, let's not throw insults here. Except still, basically, from what I understand, Vivek's basic argument is this: hey, the war was fought to free the slaves, for us black people to have freedoms. It might not have been fought entirely for that, but that was a consequence of the war being fought. Was, you know, we got our freedoms. What Don Lemon is trying to say here is, hey, they didn't fight the war for us to have guns. Well, if we got free in the process, that also gave us the right to have guns in the first place. If I'm just understanding the argument correctly here, right? That's just basically what I understand it to be from what Vivek is trying to claim and what Don Lemon is trying to claim. I think Don Lemon's claim is a bit disingenuous in the sense that he knows for a fact that he meant the freedoms in the first place. Like, he meant it was for us to have freedoms. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, guys. Let me know in the comments below if that makes sense to you guys. Let's keep going.
Black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on
that.
Yeah,
what?
I disagree with you. I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me, but we're not. You mentioned in here that
this is literally what Vivek Ramaswamy was just talking about a minutes ago. He just said, hey, there are people in this country split into two. Some people that are pro-American and some people that are anti-American. Don Lemon looks at things from an anti-American view. Hey, they did not live up to their promise. Not that we did not, like, basically saying, hey, there's a negative view on America that I have. I think they committed atrocities and all of this stuff. And basically what Vivek is saying is, hey, America has done some bad things, except they're still overall good. So I don't know.
Three different shades
Don, I think we have to be able
to
talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to 1865 and 1964
is
actually, I think it's insulting to black people. It's insulting to me as an African American. I don't want to sit here and argue with you because it's infuriating for you to put those things together. It's not right. Your telling of history is wrong. What
part of the history was wrong?
What part of the history was wrong? The Civil War was fought. You're making people think that the Civil War was fought for black people, only for black people to get guns and for black people to have.
The Civil War was fought for black people in this country to get freedoms, a noble mission. And I think that even after we succeeded, we had to actually secure those freedoms.
To reduce it in a speech at the NRA to say you're making people think, or you're trying to say that black people to get guns, that was the reason that you're there at the NRA. That was the reason for the Civil War.
It is a
fact.
That's
reductive.
It's not
and
reductive,
I think it's
Don.
Insulting. There are a whole plethora of reasons that for the Civil War.
With due respect, I find your explanation reductive and actually insulting, including to black Americans, to say that black people today, compared to 1964, 1865, haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured. And the Second Amendment was part of what secured that freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So hang on one second. So to say that black people, say what you said again.
Black people secured their freedoms after the Civil War. It is a historical fact, Don. Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They were not secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not. You are discounting Reconstruction. You're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War, and that things turned around. People tried to change the freedoms that were supposed to happen.
And you know how they...
It's a difference between claiming that black people were free and not slaves after the Civil War, excuse me, and then saying, hey, black people did not have all of the resources that white people had at the time. There's a very fundamental difference in that statement right there. That's all Vivek is saying. Hey, they got all the rights and freedom that at the time other people, citizens had. That's basically what he's saying is black people had the rights and citizenship as other people, white people, not the exact same rights, because we know it was like a lot to build to that, but in turn, they were considered citizens and they were considered constitutionally protected by the United States at that point. At least from what I understand, that's what Vivek is saying.
They got it. They got their Second Amendment rights, and they actually got the NRA played a big role in that. But today, Don, the
NRA did not play a big role.
Absolutely, they trained black Americans how to use firearms.
That's a lie. That's not. The NRA did not play a big role.
This is just historical fact. But Don, the part that I find
the
part that I find insulting is when you say today black Americans don't have those rights after we have gone through civil rights revolution in this country.
You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
That doesn't matter.
The freedoms that black and white that black people don't have in this country, and that black people do have.
Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate without me regarding you as a black man, but me regarding you as a fellow citizen. That's what I think we should see.
Whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity
about what it's like to be black.
Whatever ethnicity I am, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud of it. But I think we should have this debate. Black, white, doesn't matter.
I think we should have this debate.
On the content of the ideas.
If you're going to do it, you should do it in an honest way and in a fair way. And what you're doing is not an honest and fair way. Okay? But we appreciate you coming on.
With due respect, Don, I look forward to continuing that conversation.
Thank you. The conversation.
Thank you
so much.
Wow. That was pretty much the end of the video, guys, right there. I think it's very weird, right? That Don Lemon is trying to claim, hey, you're not black and I'm a black man, and you telling me what freedoms black Americans have today is stupid. It's basically what Don Lemon is trying to claim, that, hey, because you're not black, you cannot say exactly the freedoms and liberties that black people have today because you're not that, so you don't understand the lived experience of a black person. While to some extent, I kind of understand what he means, at the same time, we have to be able to look at things objectively too, not just from our point of view as black people. We have to look at it from a societal standpoint. What have black people been afforded that other people have not been afforded, or that are just equal to other people in general? That, you know, black people can now get loans and everything like that. They can, you know, start businesses. They can speak their mind on platforms like this. They can make $1-million deals, billion-dollar deals. Some athletes, some talk show hosts like Don Lemon himself. You know what I mean? So to say that we don't have rights and freedoms now is very ridiculous. And to say that we haven't lived up to that is very weird too. So I get where Vivek is coming from. Like, hey, so you mean to tell me from 1965 when civil rights was happening, or before then, I forgot exactly when they said, you know, all that other stuff happened. Except basically what you're saying is that black people have not moved forward at all since then, or that they haven't reached to the potential that they could reach that other ethnicities and, you know, races have. That makes zero sense to me. I don't know. Very strange to me. Very strange. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, my name is yedotti. Peace.